So, Delroy, you've been on a roll.
Can I stop you 1 second? With all due respect, with all due respect, I'm actually not going to talk about this.
Not at all. You're not going to talk about it. And why are you laughing?
I'm laughing because in the intro when you said, "Oh yes, we'll be talking about what happened with
I
BAFTA,"
saw you chuckle a little bit.
because I said, "No, we're not."
Delroy Lindo, welcome to Fresh Air.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
I read that in the first draft of the film, as it was written, your character kind of begins and ends there. And you kind of told the director, Ryan Coogler, like, he needs to be built out more. He's rich, and I want to see him more in the film. Is that true?
So, no, it wasn't that my character began and ended with that first scene. What it was that the introduction was so dynamic that what happened in the second half of the screenplay, I was not as present. I was there, but I was not as present. And since Ryan had introduced my character, Delta Slim, so dynamically, I spoke with Ryan and I said, how can we enhance my presence in the second act of the film? And Ryan understood that. He knew that the character was not as present, and he assured me that we would work on enhancing my presence in the second act, and he did.
Talk to me a little bit about your preparation for this man, because there is a knowing. There's a scene that I love so much. It's where you and Stack, Michael B. Jordan, and Preacher Boy are driving through.
In the car.
You're in the car. You know exactly the one I'm talking about. You're
Yeah.
driving through the cotton fields,
Yeah.
and you start to talk about a lynching.
Yeah.
And there's so much in that feels so real. There's a knowing in you. You're starting to tell the story, and then you just break out in humming.
Got that guitar in your hand, don't you, boy?
And that reminded me so much of my grandfather, and hearing him sometimes he'd talk and then he'd just start humming. And I want to know where that comes from you, that knowing, that you brought to that character.
First of all, thank you for what you just said about your grandfather, because various people have mentioned to me that that scene and my presence reminds them of an uncle or their grandfather, somebody that they knew from their families, and that is a huge compliment. But it's more importantly than being a compliment, it's an affirmation for the work. To answer your question, it started, my preparation for this started with Ryan sending me 2 books, Blues People by Amiri Baraka, who was Leroy Jones when he wrote the book, and Deep Blues by Robert Palmer. And I read those books. That was my intro into the world of Sinners. And in reading those books and then referencing those books, continuing to reference those books throughout production, I was given an entree into the lifestyles of these musicians. There's a certain kind of itinerant quality that they moved around a lot. The constant for them is their music, so that there is this deep-seated connection to the music, and because they are following where the music takes them, that then becomes an intrinsic part of their lifestyles.
I've heard you say that for characters, you first look at maybe those similarities, and then you look at the differences, and then you work from there.
That's exactly right.
That particular scene, though, where you're talking about the lynching and then you just go into humming, it also signifies something else for me. Like sometimes when there are no words for some things.
There are no words.
And when there are no words, that's where the blues comes in. There's where the music.
That's exactly where the music comes from. And yet another affirmation for me, Tonya, in terms of how people have received this work. It's incredibly affirming that many audiences, have made the connection between the pain of what I was experiencing and the birth of the music. And I certainly was not thinking about that in the moment.
Was it scripted?
No. The humming, the hollering.
Yeah.
No, it was not scripted. It happened organically on probably the 6th or 7th take. And what is so beautiful about that moment and its retention in the film, it was born of a company of people all working together. And what I mean by that is we had a very specific distance to get the scene. We had a finite amount of real estate to get the scene in. When we started at point A, and by the time we got to point B or point Z, I had to have finished the monologue. It was a 3-page monologue.
Within a certain amount of time.
Within a certain amount of time. And then we had to turn the car around, turn all the equipment around, and go in the opposite direction and do it again. And then turn around and come back and go in the opposite direction and do it again. On probably the 6th take, Mike, and I'm forever indebted to Mike and
Michael B. Jordan
playing Stack. Mike didn't stop the car. We got to what was supposed to be the end point, and he veered off into the underbrush and kept going. Ryan kept the cameras rolling. Autumn Durald Arkapaw, our brilliant cinematographer, she was right there. We continued filming, and as a result of that, it gave the scene more time to breathe, and for us, extra time, more time to be in that moment. So we did that, and we were no longer bound by that real estate restriction, and it gave us that extra time. And that is ultimately what produced that moment at the end of the monologue.
What do you call
Can I just say one
moments?
thing about, and I've taken to saying this, and it's important for me to articulate this every single time I talk about that aspect of the scene. We were very much working in concert. We were very much working as an ensemble at that point. I may have been the conduit for what happened, but Michael B. Jordan was right there, a Stack. Miles Caden as Preacher Boy was right there. We were all in the car together. Ryan kept the cameras rolling. Autumn was right there in the DP. We were all working together, and that is what captured that moment successfully.
What do you call those moments, and how often do they happen? Because it kind of seems like a sweet spot, you know?
I call those moments brilliant accidents.
Yes.
Brilliant accidents. And because all of my my castmates and my crew are all phenomenal at what they do, it was a moment that was recognized and captured, and now shared with the audiences.
Yeah, with the world.
With the world, right.
Now I want to turn to something that happened last week when Lindo went to London to celebrate the film at the BAFTAs. So, Delroy, you've been on a roll.
Can I stop you 1 second? With all due respect. With all due respect, I'm actually not going to talk about this.
Not at all. You're not going to talk about it. And why are you laughing?
I'm laughing because in the intro when you said, "Oh yes, we'll be talking about what happened with
I
BAFTA,"
saw you chuckle a little bit. You
because I
smiled
said,
over
"No,
there.
we're not."
Tell me why.
I have made 2 comments about what happened, and I feel that for me, that is all I need to say. And the comments that I have made, which I will repeat for you.
Can I first tell people what we're talking about?
Absolutely.
And then on the other
No,
side of
absolutely.
it. Okay.
Please.
So while you and Michael B. Jordan were on stage presenting an award for the BAFTAs, which is basically the UK's version of the Oscars, very high honors, a man in the audience named John Davidson shouted a racial slur. And Davidson has Tourette's syndrome and has said the outburst was involuntary, and he's apologized. And you have made some comments about it, and I want you to hear. I want to hear what you have to say about it.
The only thing that I've said is that at the NAACP Awards,
Yes.
Ryan and I were presenting an award. And right before we went on stage, I said to Ryan that I wanted to just say something. He didn't know what I was going. I said, let me just, before we start reading the teleprompter, I have something I want to just say. And what I said to the audience were words to the effect that Mike and I, Sinners, company of people, appreciate all the love and the support that we have received as a result of what happened at BAFTA. And the fact that I could stand there in a room predominantly of our people.
Of black people, because it's at the NAACP Awards.
The NAACP Awards.
Yeah.
I could stand there and feel safe, feel loved, feel supported, and just simply affirm the love and the support that they have given us. And I just wanted to officially, formally say thank you to our people and to all of the people who have supported us as a result of that event, that incident rather. So that's one thing. And then the second thing, I was at the after party, the BAFTAs, and I don't know what I was thinking, but a gentleman came up to me at the after party and said, he introduced himself and said, "Oh, I'm with Vanity Fair." Now, I should have told me, this is a journalist right here. He said, "I'm with Vanity Fair." Yeah. And I don't remember what else he said, but he clearly said, "I'm with Vanity Fair." It didn't occur to me, this is a journalist. But what I said to him was, look, it would have been nice if somebody from BAFTA had spoken to Mike and I.
Yeah.
And that's all I said.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I said, and that's all I am going to say.
Can you tell me why?
You're a journalist. She's not leaving me alone. What is this? Can I tell you why? Oh, I'm sorry. There was one other thing that I said. I'm sorry. I said it was an example of something that could have been, that started out negatively becoming a positive. A classic example of something that started as started in turmoil, becoming a positive from the standpoint of the love and support that we had received. And I'm going to ask you to stop 1 second because I want to go back to my phone. I received a text, a biblical text that I want to just share with you. Can I do that?
Absolutely. Yeah. So your wife sent you a text.
Yes. And the verse of the day is, my wife sends verses, affirmations to various people. Be not overcome of evil, but overcome evil with good. Romans 12:21. A negative turned into a positive, which essentially is what I didn't quote that Bible passage. I told her that when she sent me this, God, I wish I'd have said that. But what I referenced, and this is the, excuse me, this is the third thing that I said in that on last Saturday at the NAACP Awards, and I said it had become a very affirming example of something that started negatively becoming a huge positive. And I also want to say that by extension, the love and the support that had been communicated to Mike and myself, and by extension, Sinners, I want to say by another extension, I think it's for all people of color, all people who have experienced racial slurs of any kind. And what it says to me is that there's so much more good in the world. There's so much more positive in the world, so much more good in the world than there is the other.
Delroy, I feel like that's an answer to my question. You know, I think one of the things I wanted to talk with you about, but you've shut it down pretty quickly, and you also kind of answered it, is when I saw the clip of that, I think like a lot of people, because I've had quite a few conversations about this with people, we immediately looked to your face. and we were searching your face. And of course, we're searching your face. We're searching Michael B. Jordan's face, but we're searching your face because you are what you represent to us. You are a renowned actor who's been around for a long time. And so many of us kind of look to you on how would I respond to that? And how is this man who is an elder who we look up to, how is he responding to it?
Sure.
And I wanted to know what you told your son, you know, what you told Michael B. Jordan afterwards when you guys are one-on-one and you're talking about this thing that's a very real thing. Yes, to have someone with Tourette syndrome blurt that out, that's a whole nother thing. But in general, your relationship with that word.
Mike and I spoke on... This is Tuesday. Mike and I spoke on Sunday for the first time, just amongst ourselves.
After it happened, yeah.
After it happened. This past Sunday, Mike and I spoke. And I'm not going to share but it was interesting because we both had individually, we both had similar responses, because you have to understand, we had jobs to do. We were the first presenters of the evening, and we had to read that teleprompter. And we both did exactly that. Now, a couple of people who know, all right, my wife says that I adjusted my glasses. And she said she knew when I adjusted my glasses, something was happening internally. I was not aware that I had adjusted my glasses, but there was a nanosecond, a nano of a nano of a nanosecond, when I'm thinking, wait, did I just hear what I thought I heard? But then, and it truly was a nanosecond, one had to read the teleprompter and get on with presenting the award. So, you know, there was no time at all. I processed in the way that I processed in a nanosecond. Mike did similarly, and we went on and did our jobs. So.
Yeah, that makes sense. Totally makes sense.
Yeah.
You know, what's also kind of ironic is the connection to the word because of the character that you played on The Good Fight.
Oh, how about that? Sure.
Yeah, it's power, this word, the N-word, who gets to say it, what happens when it's used for a long time. And I actually want to play a clip that went viral even before the BAFTAs.
Absolutely.
So this has been
way before the BAFTAs.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's of you as your character, Adrian Bozeman, on The Good Fight, and you're encouraging a white television host to say the N-word on air.
I see racism against whites every day, every single day, yet I'm a racist for pointing that out?
Adrian, what's your take?
Take on what?
What Chuck just said? Is racism just a one-way street?
I think that's his opinion.
Look at your firm, Adrian. You get the benefit of no bid contracts because you're an African-American firm. Now, as a white lawyer, what am I supposed to think of that?
I don't know.
I think Chuck is pointing out a double standard here, Adrian. I mean, take hip-hop. We've talked about this on the show before. You have African-American rappers saying N-word this and N-word that, but a Caucasian can't.
So say it.
Say what?
Say the word you want to say.
I'm not saying that I want to say it. I'm just saying that I can't.
Sure you can. Say it. Say it right now. I will say it with you.
Okay, this is hypocritical. You know we can't.
Sure you can. This is America. Both of you. Say it.
All right, I think we can move on.
Why move on when you want to say it? Both of you want to say it.
Okay, this makes you laugh. The funny thing about it is people really thought this was real
Yes,
for a
they
very
did.
long time. It's
Yes.
gone around. I remember singing and thinking, I need to know what context that was in. But it's
Yeah.
actually from a show.
A TV show.
Why do you think, I mean, first off, there's something about watching a black man who's like saying, just say the thing that we're all thinking and we know that you're thinking you want to say it. But what was going through your mind in that scene, and why do you think it has taken such hold?
It's taken hold because the sentiments contained in the scene are real, which is to say that as a black person, I know, we all know, I assume that behind closed doors, there's not such decorum that is exercised. Behind closed doors, it is said. It is probably said liberally. And there is this hypocritical, what I was pointing out, rather than me being the hypocrite, they were the hypocrites, because the fact of the matter is, you know, you want to say it, and you say it behind closed doors. You know you do. So I think that the reason that it took hold, as you say, is because the sentiments in the scene are very, very real.
Do you remember the first time someone called you the N-word?
I don't, but I do remember the first time I was othered because of this, because of the color of my skin. And interestingly, I'm writing a memoir right now.
Yeah.
Plug. That will be out in 2027, and I reference this incident in the book. So I was born in England, and my mom was a nurse. As I've mentioned, I'm Jamaican. My mom went to England as part of a movement of Caribbean peoples from the Caribbean to England. And they became known as the Windrush generation as a result of the boat called the Empire Windrush that transported approximately 300 mostly Jamaican men from the Caribbean to England in June of 1948. My mom arrived into England in 1951. So very, very the beginning of the Windrush movement. I was born very soon thereafter, and because my mom was studying to be a nurse, they would not allow her to have an infant child with her on campus. So as a result of that, I was sent to live with a white family in a white working class area of London.
And this wasn't just daycare or babysitting.
No, I
lived
lived with them.
Mm-hmm.
I lived with them. Very loving family, by the way. I was loved. I was cared for. But as a result of living with this family in this all-white neighborhood, I went to an all-white elementary or primary school, and I was literally the only black child in an all-white school. So one afternoon, after school had ended, I was playing with one of my playmates. I thought he was a playmate, and we had exchanged garments. I was wearing like his sweater. I had it tied around my neck, and he was wearing my sweater or my jacket tied around his neck, and we were pretending to be superheroes, right? And we were right. We were on this patch of grass, and we had our hands out like Superman. We were flying, and having great fun. And at a certain point in our game, a car pulls up, and this kid that I was playing with goes over to the car and has a very short conversation with whomever was in the car, which I now know was his parent, his father. He comes back, and he throws my garment that he had been wearing around his neck. He throws it at me and grabs what I'm wearing, his garment that I'm wearing around my neck, and grabs it from me. He throws my garment at me, grabs my garment from me, and says, "I can't play with you." And that was the end of the game.
Right. That was the end of the game. But you know, this thing about that story and the fact that you were so young, 5 years old, you couldn't have known like the full weight of that. It took you time, but it's a story that has stuck with you because you knew that was a signal of something.
Well, it was a signal of my undesirability. The answer to your question was not necessarily specific to being called the N-word, but it was very specific to being racially othered.
These are imprints.
Big time.
Big time. How's the writing for the memoir going? Because, you know, I'm so fascinated. I'm deeply obsessed with memoir, and I love reading them. And but one of the things that like I know about it is that it breaks you wide open. You're able to see parts of yourself that you, through the process. How has that process been for you? And how do you hold these stories? Because you said it's going to open your book, for instance. That means that was an imprint that has carried you throughout your life, you know?
Yep. It's been healing, actually. I'm not denying that it has opened me up. I've been compelled to scrutinize myself. And I'm using that word very advisedly, scrutinize. It's a scrutiny. It's an examination of oneself. But in my case, because a very, very, very significant part of what I'm writing has to do with re-examining my relationship with my mom. And so my mom is a protagonist in my memoir. It's not, and I'm told by my editor and by my publisher that one of the attractions to what I'm writing is that it is not a classic, quote-unquote, celebrity memoir. I am examining history. I'm examining culture. I'm looking at certain passages of history through the lens of the Windrush experience.
You went to get a master's degree,
I did.
Right? And study
I did.
This
did.
was that, and that wasn't that long ago, right?
No,
this is about
2014. I got a master's from NYU in 2014. I came to formal education late. I got my undergrad degree in 2004 from San Francisco State University, and I got my master's from NYU in 2014.
So you wanted to delve deep into your mother's experience in the Windrush.
I had to because, see, it's interesting. I heard myself say that, and I didn't know I was going to say that. I had to do that.
You had to because?
I had to because my mom deserved it. My mom is deserving. And not only is my mom deserving, by extension, all the people of the Windrush generation are deserving, because that is a story stories about Windrush are not part of global cultural lexicon commensurate with its impact. The people of Windrush changed the definition of what it means to be British. There are all these black and brown people, theretofore members of what used to be called the British Commonwealth. And they were invited by the British government to come to England, the United Kingdom, to help rebuild the United Kingdom in the aftermath of the destruction of World War II. My mom was part of that movement.
Yeah.
They helped rebuild construction industry, transportation industry, critically the health industry, the NHS, the National Health Service. My mom was a nurse. And when I was going into, the reason that I went into NYU was because my original intention was to write a screenplay about my mom. I wanted to write a screenplay about my mom because I looked around and I thought, where are the feature films that have as protagonist a Caribbean female, a black female? Where are they? Now, there may be some out there, and I've seen one, not directed by a black person. But I wanted to address that. I wanted to correct that in what I see as being an imbalance.
What's your mom's name?
My mom's name is Anna Cynthia Moncrief. Anna Cynthia Moncrief. Sometimes she would go by Luna Moncrief. And that's a whole other story. But my answer to your question is why do I need to do this? Is because my answer is my mom deserves a story about her.
She needs to be written.
She needs to be written. She needs to be recognized. And by extension, many of the people of the Windrush generation, of the Windrush era, need to be recognized. And my editor said to me last week, I'm pretty certain it was in the aftermath of what happened at BAFTAs and the various stories had surfaced on the internet. Essentially, people just giving me love, And my editor sent me a text and she said, your mom would be so proud. And I know she's proud. I know she is. The way that my mom was built, my mom was somebody who did not always, she was not effusive. She wasn't somebody who said, she wasn't effusive with her feelings. She was effusive with her actions. But it was always couched in camouflage. That's the word. Camouflage by other things.
When did she pass?
1996. I was in New York. I was at the Four Seasons Hotel on 57th Street doing a junket for a film that I had done called, I think it was Ransom. Doing a junket for Ransom. And I'm digressing. The answer to your question is my mom passed in 1996. That's the answer to your question. I talk a lot.
I'm talking to you, so you're answering the things that I'm asking you. But one thing I noticed about you. What did you want to say?
I want to say that Five Bloods, when I was doing, and I don't want you to forget your question. I was doing a round of press for the Five Bloods, which was during COVID.
Yep.
And so therefore, most all of the interviews and the interactions with journalists and press were virtual. Mm-hmm. And I had done an interview with a journalist up in San Francisco. And when the article came out, and I'm saying this for a very particular reason, when the article came out, she referred to me as the garrulous Delroy Lindo. I didn't know what garrulous meant.
Yeah, you had to look it up.
I had to look it up. So I looked it up, and it said excessively talkative.
Well, that's so funny, because the thing that I think about you is you're very intentional with your words and language that you use. And I want to know where that comes from. I notice that when I hear you talk every time. I say, oh, yeah, he's taking the moment to make sure he's finding the right words.
I hope so. Ironically, I think it is a result of how I was educated, and the irony is, I was educated in England. So I think I don't know, 4, 5, 6 years ago, I found a notepad in my garage, an essay book that I had written when I was probably 13 or 14 years old. I was in high school. And I looked at what I had written. I said, this was decent writing for a 13. It holds
up, yeah.
This ain't bad. And so even at that age, I apparently had a relationship to language. And English language was always one of my favorite subjects in school, in high school. So I think it probably comes from the way that I was educated, and then having become an actor, and my domain is words.
Yeah.
Right? So I try to be careful.
And you want to be understood.
Really be careful to be understood. But this woman, she was a female journalist, the garrulous Delroy Lindo. I said, what does that mean? Excessively talkative. Now, what's interesting about that, and if she's hearing this, I didn't appreciate it, because what I thought I was doing, you're probably going to cut that out, but what I thought I was doing, I know you will, Tonya, I know you will. She going to cut that out, man?
It's not even up to me, so there you go. There you go.
All right. I thought I was being detail-oriented.
Right.
I thought I was giving detail.
For what she needed. But anyhow, we can move on. Well, that's so interesting about finding your 13-year-old self in your writing and saying, okay, this was really kind of cool. This was good.
This wasn't bad.
You spent a significant amount of time, the first few years of your life, in the UK, and then you lived in Canada for a while. Then you all moved to the Bay Area.
I went to San Francisco to study at the American Conservatory Theater.
Yes. You don't have an English accent. Did you ever?
Of course I did, yeah. And somebody, I get asked this fairly frequently, you don't have an English accent. And then I was recently asked, well, could you do it? Could you do it if you were asked to? And I have this joke, and I say, my mantra, yeah, I can do it if they pay me, But yes, I had an English accent, and yes, I could still pull it out right now if you needed me to. I'm not going to. Why?
I wouldn't ask you to, but
okay, thank you. But yes. There's a part of me that's waiting for, and I have no clue if this will ever happen. And if it doesn't happen, it's fine. It really and truly is fine. But there's a part of me that's waiting to be offered a piece of work that will permit me to use that London accent.
Mm-hmm.
There's a part of me that's waiting for that. But if it doesn't happen, it truly is fine. The other thing is, similarly to I don't speak with a Jamaican accent, but I am able to speak with a Jamaican accent. Anybody who saw West Indian Archie, I was using a Jamaican accent there. And I did a film called, Wondrous Oblivion in London in 2001. And I was playing a Jamaican man in that. And that actually is when I discovered Windrush during the rehearsals for that film. But I remember one of the people from the production office, came on set one day, and she was watching the work, and I overheard her say, because I was speaking with a Jamaican accent in that film, and I overheard her say, "Oh my God, he can do it."
Well, I wonder, did you have to work hard at getting rid of the
No,
the London accent?
no-ish, and I'm saying no-ish because I was not like Sidney Poitier listening to the radio, right? I've heard that Sidney Poitier, in order to lose his Bahamian accent, he always said he had a very thick Bahamian accent, and he listened. No, I didn't have to do that.
Okay, let's talk about the Oscars now. And I'm actually gonna get into. I want to talk about this conversation by first talking about The Five Bloods, because it's one of, I will say it's one of my favorite movies. I mean, gosh, if I want to release to cry, I will turn on that film. One of your most celebrated roles was Paul, a traumatized Vietnam vet unraveling in the jungle, a man carrying decades of rage and grief. And I want to actually play a scene that happens near the end of the film where Paul is alone in the jungle talking to God. Let's listen.
I was asleep. I was fast asleep, knocked out, man. God woke me. I said, God, why you waking my black ass up? God said to me, Paul, fuck them motherfuckers. Keep on keeping on. I said to God did what now? God raised his voice, didn't yell. He put some bass in that heavenly voice, said to me, fuck them motherfuckers, Paul. They don't know shit. Do your thing. Show you right.
That was near the end of The Five Bloods, directed by Spike Lee, and that's my guest, Delroy Lindo, as Paul. I love at the end of that scene, you do like a shimmy thing with your shoulders, and it's such a subtle thing, but it really brings home what's happening in that scene. When the nominations came out for The Five Bloods, and your name wasn't there, I've heard you say that you were deeply disappointed.
That might qualify as the understatement of the year.
Okay.
I actually, my representatives at the time called me in the morning, and I thought they were joking.
When they said your name wasn't on.
Yeah, the guy said, "It didn't happen, man."
You were so certain.
I had been made to feel certain. I had been made to feel certain because of all of the talk outside of me was, you're going to get a nomination, you're going to get a nomination, you're going to get a nomination, you're going to get a nomination. So I got drawn into that. And I remember the gentleman said, "No, it didn't happen, man." And I thought he was kidding. I thought he was pulling my leg. I was going that morning to get a COVID shot. I was in New York. I went to this facility on 96th Street, and I got my shot. I came out, and my phone rang, and it was Spike. And we talked, and we commiserated. I've said this in the past, but I'll say it now, just officially. Spike, if you hear this, man, it meant the world to me that you called me, and that we had that conversation. It meant like everything, bro. Because I was reeling. I was Yes. So yes, I was disappointed.
Pretty devastated, yeah. Because, I mean, you put your foot in that role. I mean,
Thank
like,
you.
you know,
Yeah,
you
it wasn't just
embodied
it
it.
wasn't just my big toe, was it? I put my foot in that thing.
Well, you're now nominated for an Oscar for Best Supporting Actor for Sinners. First off, congratulations.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Blues wasn't forced on us like that religion. No, sir.
We brought this with us from home.
It's magic what we do. It's sacred.
And big.
You know, it's the highest honor for an actor, and yet it sometimes is like a biggest curse for a black actor. How do you hold that very true tension? And I'll say it's a curse because oftentimes many black actors have said things dry up after this. It's like you've hit the ceiling.
I worked with Lou Gossett some years ago, and Lou, for me, was one of the greats. Lou Gossett Jr. was one of the great actors with a capital G.
And he won an Oscar.
And he won an Oscar. And
in
I think
1983.
He told, yes, An Officer and a Gentleman, and I think he told me he didn't work for a year after that. I've heard Halle Berry speak about her disappointment after she won the things, her career, and I don't want to misquote because I do not know Halle Berry.
No, but she has said this. She said this even on this show.
It didn't quite, things didn't happen for her the way she thought. But what I will say, and this is important, I am not, and I will not view it as a curse because I am claiming the victory. I am claiming the victory in this process, no matter what happens. And I'm just claiming the victory, Tonya. What does that mean?
Mm-hmm.
It means that just as, and I hope this does not come back to bite me in the you-know-what. I pray to God it doesn't come back to bite me in the you-know-what. But just as after the disappointment of Five Bloods, I had to pick myself up and keep going. And that was something that Spike and I talked about. You got to keep working, man. Something that I said to my son, D, I got to keep working. It's the same thing that I say to my son after he suffers a disappointment on the basketball court. Because my son is very similar to me. He likes to win. He does not like to lose. Mm-hmm. Hey, man, you got to pick yourself up. You got to pick your head up. Keep your head up, bro. Keep your head up. There's always the next game. There's always tomorrow. And what I had to tell myself on the heels of Five Bloods was, I got to keep working. So in terms of this moment, I absolutely am claiming as much as I can the joy of this moment. I'm not saying I don't have trepidation. I do. It's the reason I was not listening to the broadcast this year when the nominations were announced. I did not want to set myself up.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
But I'm claiming the victory, Tonya. And what that means for me is attempting as much as I can to fortify myself and know in my heart that I will continue working as an actor. I will. I absolutely will. I am going to continue working. I did not, take my marbles and go home in the face. I have never taken my marbles and gone home as a result of whatever disappointments, the vicissitudes of the industry. And I want to believe and I want to claim that I will not do that now. I will continue working. And that is something, and I pray to God this doesn't, that is something that I would tell any young person, young actor, young practitioner of any craft in the face of disappointment. Yes, you have the choice of taking your marbles and going home if you want to, but that's not going to get you. What will that get you? You have to keep moving forward, and that is what I will do.
Delroy Lindo, this has been such a pleasure to talk with you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
I really appreciate it. Thanks for having me. God bless you. Thank you. Thank you very much.